Hello, hello, hello. It is Cassandra Terry, your manifesting miracle maker. And today is Wake Up Wednesday. Wake Up Wednesday. On Wake Up Wednesday, the topic of the day is intentionality, being intentional. Good morning, Alicia. Good to see you. Call me after this. I need to tell you something. Call me after this, okay? Just in case I forget. Good morning. All right. So on Wake Up Wednesday, I was just mentioning that the topic is always about being intentional and how being intentional and moving through your life awake with intentionality instead of living kind of on autopilot, how that can open up so many more opportunities for you and increase the likelihood of you being successful at the things that you are going for. Let me see. It looks like I see quite a few of you guys here on TikTok. Anita, welcome. Sorry for the hand. I see Desi Poo, Shakorbe. Quite a few of you guys. Thanks for stopping in. We are just getting started, and I've got a quote for you guys today that supports being intentional, as well as we've got an acrostic, and I had that made so that each letter of the word intentionality, or I think intentional, will give you steps and tips on how to be intentional. And when I talk about being intentional, what I mean is that you're consciously making decisions, making choices, doing things, putting your energy and your focus into the things that will get you what it is that you want out of life. That you're aware and you realize that we're making decisions all day, every day, all day long, and that those decisions have consequences or impact. Those decisions help determine how our lives are going to unfold. Those decisions help set the trajectory and the path that we're on. And a lot of times we don't even think about the fact that we're making a decision. We're so accustomed to going through our days, the way that we go through our days, doing the things that we do, that we don't realize that we've got a lot more control than that. If we would just tap into ourselves and wake up enough to understand that when we're making the choices that we're making, they're either moving us in the direction of our goals, they're holding us in place, or even worse, they're moving us backwards. They're moving us away from the life that we're trying to create. And I mean all of our decisions, because those little bitty choices, they compound over time. Good morning, Sonia. They compound, and over time, each little choice is leading you somewhere. What I decided to eat this morning, whether or not I got up on time or I hit the snooze button, how I decide to manage my calendar today. Am I going to go into the office? Am I going to work from home? All those little decisions, they don't seem like in and of themselves a big deal. Whether or not did my morning routine, did I get up? Did I take some time to meditate or just sit and think? Or for those of you who are religious or spiritual, did you pray? Meditation and prayer and quiet time, for different people, those things can be interchangeable terms. But are you spending that time connecting and thinking about being intentional about what you want to do with your day? For me, I absolutely had to do that this morning. I haven't been on since for a week. I haven't been on for a week, and I'm typically on every day. But work, super busy, and it's making it. I keep having meetings that interfere with the times that I go live. And then I had a rough weekend. I had a weekend where I had to do some real soul searching afterwards, and I had to make peace with some of the things that unfolded and how they unfolded. And they definitely didn't unfold the way I would have liked. They didn't end the way that I would have liked. I think the messaging that was left is not what was intended. And so it just feels bad. It feels bad no matter how I look at it. Because at the end of the day, how things unfolded affects relationship. relationships with an S. I don't have anybody in my family that I don't absolutely love, but I do have people in my family that I have a hard time spending time around. We Things tend to go awry, whether I want them to or not. We're just toxic when we come together, and I had to deal with some of that this weekend. And it started out so nice, y'all. Dancing and singing and having a good time and celebrating my mom's birthday. And those moments are what give me hope. And it's like, that's what I remember. That's what I want more of. That's how I want this relationship to be. But before all was said and done, it devolved into reality, which was, name calling and threats and just a bad, bad, bad situation. And for a moment, I handled it okay. I was able to kind of stay true to me and respond and not react. But then I hit my breaking point. And when I hit my breaking point, I basically came unglued. And I am not proud or happy with how I responded and or reacted, because it wasn't a response, it was a reaction. It was totally emotion filled versus mind filled. And it was just reacting to what was coming at me, matching energy instead of setting energy, which is what I try to do. One of the things that I tell myself all the time is that I'm not an energy matcher, I'm an energy setter. So when I'm in a situation where the energy's not right, if I can't lift it and get it to a better place, then I can step away. I can change my scenery. I can remove myself from that, which is what I should have did, and not let myself get as triggered as I did. And I look back on that with so much frustration and disappointment. Good morning, Wilson. And part of that was like, all right, I don't feel good about going live. I don't feel good about talking about a growth mindset. I don't feel good about talking about positivity, and all the things that I have a tendency to talk about when I was in such a dark place so recently. And so I had to deal with the emotions of all of that and get back to a point to where Brenda Lee's, good morning, and get back to a point to where I felt like I could be authentically myself, stand behind what it was I would say when I pushed the button that said go live, and then walk. And when it was over, not feel hypocritical, not feel like, who am I to have that conversation? And those were the types of questions that I was asking myself. Who am I to have these conversations? Especially in light of how things unfolded. And who I am is transparent. Who I am is someone who can say that I fall short. And when I do, I go inward and try and figure out how I can do better in the future. And instead of being so frustrated now about the situation and about how it unfolded, what I really am is I've got some gratitude there, because I can see where there's additional healing, additional work that needs to take place. Some of that, I blindly believed, the things that were said had been said to me prior that would lead me to believe that everything was okay. And I was, just like a kid hanging on to that hope and hoping that things were as they temporarily appeared. And so I felt kind of dumb. I felt blindsided and like, why do you keep going back to this situation when it always ends up like this? And so instead of continuing to beat myself up, because we all get there, we never get it right 100% of the time. And part of what I've said all along is wanting to be able to share my journey, because somebody else may be about to go into it, or have been in a similar situation and can't, or are having a hard time seeing their way through a similar situation. And if us talking about it can help somebody, then it's worth it. It wasn't a wasted experience. And it shows me where personally there's some more work that I can do. So me and a family member, we're just like this, just button heads, button heads, button heads. And it's okay that everybody doesn't see eye to eye. It's okay that people have different points of view, and some people you can get along with better and spend more time with. And then there's others where you know you have to be careful with how much energy you put out and how much you allow in. And, and on a mental level, I know that about this relationship. But on a heart level, I want the relationship so badly that I keep opening up for the possibility. And I probably will continue to open up for the possibility because that's a person that's really important to me. And I've got to figure out how we can have some level of relationship without spending so much time that we get to the point to where craziness ensues. So that's work, things that I still have to figure out. But today, hadn't intended to. We were talking about intentional, but this is what's coming up. So here we go. Um, the one thing I will say is when you find yourself in a situation where you have allowed yourself, because I can't say somebody else triggered me so bad, the da 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 da. I have to look at it from the point of view of Cassandra. Cassandra allowed herself to stay in the situation, to stay in the environment until I was so triggered that I reacted. I did not respond, that I reacted in a way that is less than who I am. I allowed myself to devolve into a lesser person than how I like to carry myself. And 100%, I want to say that I allowed that to happen because I refused to give my power to somebody else at any point in time. After trying to de escalate the situation, once you figure out that you can't de escalate a situation, you still have choices. One being, do I stay in and keep trying? Hey, boss twin, thanks for joining. Do I stay in and keep trying? Or do I feel myself? What's happening to me on the inside? You've got to stay connected to you. And there became a point to where I just felt so upset that I reacted, and I reacted badly, and I gave bad messaging, and for that I feel terrible. And so the only thing that I can say is when you're in a situation and emotions have gotten high, if you're not able to de-escalate the situation, remove yourself from the situation as quickly as possible. And eventually that's what happened. The other person removed themselves, and then that was the end of that. At least the physical end of it. But the emotional end of it continues still today because of the devolvement, because of the bad behavior, because of the wounding of the relationship. Because if I could have kept in my mind what the end goal is, then maybe I would have responded better. But instead, I allowed my emotions to take over and I forgot about what I really want. And what I really want is that relationship. That relationship, I mean, I'm a mom, I'm a grandmother, I'm a wife, I've got siblings, I have both my two, I have my mother and my stepfather. I have a lot of family, but that relationship is one of the relationships that means the most to me, but it's also the relationship that we've never been able to keep on track for an extended period of time. There's just too much stuff that hasn't been dealt with on both sides. And when we come together, instead of each of us dealing with our own stuff, we blame the other and point the fingers at the other. It takes two people to make a relationship good, bad, or indifferent. And if all you can see in the relationship is what the other person has done wrong, then you're one sided because you're contributing too. And so those are the types of conversations I've been having with myself over the last few days, is really trying to peel that back and see my contribution, see why I'm so triggered, see why I react instead of respond. And some of it is just violation of your physical space, and just character assassination and a whole bunch of stuff. But at the end of the day, I still had choices. And I'm not happy with the choices that I made. How the other person feels, how the other person reacts, what their thought is. I have no control over any of that. I only have control over myself. And what I contributed to it, I'm not happy with. And so that's what I have to deal with. The rest of it is gonna be what it's gonna be. I don't. There's not a whole lot I can do besides work on me. And so, good morning, Jerome. Blessed morning to you as well. Thanks for joining. And so, for me, over the last few days, that's what I've been trying here. I've got a good idea of how we got there. How do we have anything different? I don't know if it's possible right now because there's just so much, but I've got to look at how I move differently so that I don't end up in that situation again, and I don't contribute to that situation. That I am not pouring gas on a fire, because you don't ever want to be the escalator when you already see something going awry. Things are getting out of control, things are getting chaotic. If you add more chaos to it, then you're just exasperating the problem, you're making it bigger. And so that I've had a lot of time to look over the last few days and go, really think about what I can do, how I can be differently. I don't have all the answers yet, still fresh, but that's where the work is. I could easily just point the finger and go, well, this person did this and this person said that and da 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 da. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. What matters is how I reacted to it all. And the fact that I reacted instead of responded, and doing the work to try and get to a better place. So that's the primary reason. Work got busy and I wasn't able to be on. I know I wasn't on for sure last Friday, and I don't think I was on Thursday either. But this week, yesterday and Monday, I just didn't have the spiritual. I just wasn't okay spiritually enough to be in front of anybody and trying to have any type of conversation about anything positive. But what I wanted to say to you guys today is, a point in time is just a point in time. And if you allow a point in time to completely destroy what you're working for, what's important to you, who you are, then you are not committed enough, maybe. Not, you don't know well enough who you really are. You don't you're not holding on enough. Don't let a point in time destroy everything. Good morning, Damien. Thanks for joining. So that was a point in time. I didn't respond, I reacted. I'm not happy with how I showed up in that situation. That's all true. But that's not typically how things go for me. That's not typically how I interact with people. That's not typically what the situation is. So I can't blow that up and make it everything and use that as an excuse to stop. Instead, I'm going to use it as a reason for retrospection and introspection, and to do the work that it's highlighting for me. Because places where I thought things were healed, they're not. Places where I thought, I could handle things better, obviously I can't. At least not in that particular circumstance. So it gives me a chance to see a place where I can learn and grow and heal and do better. And for that, I can be grateful. And when you can find your gratitude in something, then you find the strength to pick yourself back up, dust yourself off, and keep going. And I hope that when things go off the rails for you, whoever you are, that you can do the same thing. You can do the introspection. You can look at yourself, because that's the only thing that you can control. You can have an honest, transparent conversation with yourself and go, what was my contribution to this? Where was I right? Where was I wrong? Where could I do something different? And you learn from it, and then you incorporate that into your life, and you move forward. You move forward with the new information, and hopefully, when something like that arises again, you can handle it better. But what you don't want to do is just walk around with the weight of the world on your shoulders and using that as some sort of a reason to stop, because it's not. It's a reason to look in, it's a reason to learn, it's a reason to adjust, but it's not a reason to stop. The skills that you'll pick up in doing that inner work will show up again and will help you in the future. And that's what you have to hang on to. Don't allow it to destroy the path that you're on. Don't allow it to destroy your journey. Don't allow it to destroy your esteem. Realize that you're a human too, that you have emotions just like everybody else, and try as you might to show up a certain way. Every once in a while, you're not going to get it right. And when you don't get it right, be grateful for the times that you did, learn from the time that you didn't, incorporate it, and keep moving forward. You're welcome, Jerome. Thank you for that comment. I appreciate it. So that's really what I wanted to share with you guys, because we all hit those walls every once in a while, and we think, if I had it to do all over again, I would say this, I would do that, I would handle it this way. And unfortunately, no time machines. We don't get to go back. We either stand still or we move forward. And in my standing still, which is what I've done for a few days, I'm trying to learn how to move forward better. That's the best I can do, because I can only control me. That's it. That's all I have control over. And in knowing that, just take your power back. Realize that you have more control than you think that you do, and do the introspection, and move forward. And that is the best that you can do. Play it back in your head and think about, see yourself handling it better in the future, so that you can continue to incorporate those new skills. And then next time you're in a similar situation, maybe you've created a little bit more muscle memory and you've got something else to pull on, instead of, allowing it to devolve into, something that you'd rather not deal with. So that's thrown us completely off from what our typical Wednesday topic is. But there's my heart, ladies and gentlemen. There's my heart. So let me get back for just a moment, and I'll speed it up because I took up quite a bit of your time in my own little therapy this morning. But I did have a quote for you guys about being intentional. On Wednesdays, it's Wake Up Wednesday. And when I say wake up, I'm talking about being intentional. And when you're living intentional, you're aligning your actions and your choices with your values. You're aligning them with your goals and the things that are important to you. And you're awake, you're aware, you're tapped in, and you're realizing whether or not each of those choices is moving you towards those goals, holding you still, having you stuck in place, or that they're even worse, moving you backwards, and you're moving away from the life that you'd like to create. So being intentional is the theme of the day. And Steve Jobs had a quote that I wanted to share with you guys this morning. Your time is limited. Don't waste it living someone else's life. Don't be trapped by dogma, which is living the results of other people's thinking. Don't let the noise of others' opinions drown your own inner voice. And most important, have the courage to follow your heart and intuition. They somehow already know what you truly want to become. Everything else is secondary. What you truly want to become, that's the end goal. That's what you need the clarity on. That's what you need to be clear about. And then once you have that, now you're in a position to start to align your actions, your choices, your everything with what will move you to you becoming who you want to become. So I generated an acrostic last night. Acrostic. I love those things. And it's the word intentional. And each letter, the beginning of each letter will be a word that will, thank you, Brenda Lise. I think that's a beautiful quote too. And it aligns a lot better with what I was talking about, better than I realized when I chose it last night, that because I didn't know I was going to be talking about this actually, but it aligns really well that I can't let the opinions of others determine my self-worth. I can't let that drown out my own inner voice. You know, I've got to live the life that I'm trying of the person that I'm trying to become, and then everything else is secondary. That's a powerful quote, and so I'm glad that even though it felt like I went off on a tangent, it kind of all has has come back together and aligned. So we're talking about intentional. The I in intentional is introspection. Cultivate a supportive environment. I'm sorry, take time for self reflection and understand your values, your passions, your desires. You have to go inward and get really clear about what it is that you want for you, for your life, and the life that you're creating. Good morning, Judy. So, I is introspection. Take the time for self reflection and understand your values, your passions, your aspirations, in a nutshell, your desires. What is it that you really want out of this life? And then the N is for nurturing. Cultivate a supportive environment that nurtures your mind, body, and spirit. Create that environment and live in that space, a nourishing space. And when you find yourself outside of that, move. If people are challenging that, remove them. Create the nourishing space. Spend your time with people that are supportive. Spend your time with people that truly care, and build and know where your support system is. Who is it? Those people will support you no matter what. They will build you up. They will have difficult conversations with you. They will tell you when you're off the rails. They will tell you when you're not living up to the ideals that you're putting out there, because they will hold you accountable, but they'll be loving in the process, and they'll do it from a place of love. They'll do it with the desire to get you on track, not to beat you down. That's the easiest way to tell. What's the intention of somebody who's bringing you the news? Are they trying to build you up? Or are they trying to highlight what they see as a defect? If they're looking to highlight a defect, it's because they're trying to cover up their own. And that person doesn't mean you any good. And that's not a part of your support system. My mom would say, become intimate with your mindset. I didn't understand it until it hit me one day. Ooh, Dr. Angela, that's good. Become intimate with your mindset. Who you're intimate with is the person that is the closest to you. That's the person that knows you the best. They know you inside and out. They know the parts of you that other people don't have a tendency to see. They know the things about you that other people are not privy to. Imagine if you have that kind of relationship with your own inner voice, that you know your thinking and your patterns that way. Shutting down is a pattern of mine. When things go off the rails and they get too hard, I have a tendency to step back, and have this overwhelming desire to quit, to run, to find safety. I know that's a pattern. So I can't, every time something goes wrong, fall off the map, right? So I have to learn how to keep going in the midst of those struggles. But knowing that about myself, I can have the right conversations with myself. I can do the internal work that I need, and I can get back on the horse. I can get right back in the game. It's okay to pause, but don't quit. It's okay to go inward, but don't shut down. It's okay to think through a difficult situation, but don't beat yourself up to the point that you can't move forward. Learn from the situation. Don't use it as a weapon against yourself. And that's the work that I've done over the last few years. But I still see opportunities in what I just talked about earlier. There's still opportunities for me to learn and to grow and to do better. As long as we're living, there's going to be opportunities for us to continue to improve. So don't get so down on yourself when you find one of those areas. Rejoice, be excited, be thankful that you found it, because now you can do some work and you can become even better. Before, it was a blind spot. You didn't know it was there. So it was always lurking, ready to trip you up at the most inopportune time. But now that you know that it's there, you're in control. You can do the work to master that thing, and it no longer has this silent hold over you. So don't see finding those situations as a bad thing. It's good. It's good that you are aware, and once you're aware, you're back in control. So introspection and nurturing are the first two letters. of intentional. The T for T, we're going to talk about time management. You have to prioritize your activities and allocate your time wisely so that it's aligning with your goals and values. We've talked about that before. Yes, Jerome, gratitude. We've talked about that before, is making sure that you're using your time wisely. You can ask yourself throughout the day when you're involved in whatever your activities is, why am I doing this? Sometimes you're doing it just because it's what you've always done. Sometimes you're doing it because you've created an environment, or you're existing in an environment that has expectations of you. But does that activity align with your goals? Does it align with your values? Is it going to get you where it is that you desire to go? If not, you got to do that as assessment as to why you're still doing it. And if it doesn't serve your greater purpose, your greater good, you let it go. Even if it's something that seems really small, those small things add up. A few minutes here, a few minutes there, before you know it, you've lost an hour. And before we know it, if we're not living with intentionality, before we know it, we've lost a lifetime. So that's why on Wednesdays we talk about wake up, wake up, get intentional, figure out what it is you want, and then assess throughout your day whether or not the things that you're doing are going to get you there. So that is time management. And then E, empowerment. Believe in your abilities to take ownership of your choices and to create the life that you desire. You take ownership of your choices. It's not mama's fault. It's not daddy's fault. It's not, they may not have created the environment that was most nurturing for you, but there comes a time where you become the adult and you are able to create that for yourself. Sometimes we live so tied to our past, so impacted and damaged by our past, that we never live our present. And if we never live our present, we don't have much of a future. It's all shackled to the past. And that's what I'm not going to do. I'm not going to do it with myself, and I'm not going to do it with anybody else. I can't go back in time and change anything. And all the mistakes I made as a young person have brought me to being the person that I am today. The 55-year-old that sat here today was the 16, 17, 18, 24-year-old that did stupid stuff back in the day. So what? She survived them. She got through them. She learned from them, and she created a beautiful life for herself and for her family. Her children are blessed. Her grandchildren are blessed, and her life moved forward. So I can't be shackled to what somebody thinks of my past, especially when they got most of it wrong. But I can't be shackled to that because I'm not that person anymore. And a lot of it I never was. And that's the thing. We can't control what other people think. When somebody believes in something enough, it becomes their truth. And you trying to change their truth just makes you a liar to them. They absolutely can only see what they can see. So it's wasted energy. You can choose. You can choose to spend your energy more wisely. You let that person go in love. You and all your bad ideas and thoughts and everything that you think, I'm going to release you in love because there's nothing else that I can do. The rest of it is on the other individual. You have to look at you and the life that you want to live and celebrate and move through that. But understand that you own those choices. Understand that you have that ability. As long as you don't give it away. If I give somebody else the right to define me, that's my bad. Nobody gets to define me. Y'all would be surprised the crazy stuff that scrolls up and down these screens. And, perfect strangers. That's not as bad as when it's somebody that's up close and personal. It may hurt, but it hurts worse. When you touch a flame, it hurts. And you pull your hand back. But imagine what happens when you leave your hand there. If you leave your hand on that fire, what began as an ouch becomes a deep wound. There's degrees to burns. It blisters. You have to have deeper medication if you keep holding your hand there. And so my advice to me, and through me and my experiences to you, is when you know the fire's hot, stop touching it. Let it go and understand that it's not for you right now. If it's not for you right now, but it's meant for you in the future, it'll come back around. But don't spend your time trying to make a hot fire warm. It's hot, it burns, it hurts. And when you find yourself in that situation, you got to back off. And you have to make peace with the fact that you have to back off. Move from your power. Good morning, Sabrina. Good morning, brother. I love you. I haven't talked to you in quite some time. It's great to see you here. So, when you know that you're in a situation that is not for your good, consider that the hot stove. And every time you go back to it, understand that you're allowing yourself to be damaged. The other person is not so much damaging you as you're walking into the damage. And you have the power to not do that. You have the power to go elsewhere where you'll be nurtured, where you'll be loved. And you have the power to do those things for yourself. Nurture you, love you. But don't live in such a fantasy land that you keep coming back. You keep holding on to that hot stove and then complaining about being burned. You're holding on to the heat. Let it go. And then the N in intentional is for non-attachment. Let go of attachments to the outcome and embrace the present. That desire for the outcome to be a certain way will trip you up every time. That's what I was talking about. Having that hope and remembering those good times and wanting more of that. I'm so, you can be so attached to trying to recreate that situation that you end up taking yourself through trauma over and over and over again. I can't control the outcome. All I can do is stand in the present moment and accept that and be grateful for it. My brother said, God must have sent me here for this message this morning. He's speaking through you. Oh, thank you, brother. I sincerely hope that you and others get something out of that. But I'm going to tell you, like I tell people all the time, 99.9% of the time I'm talking to myself. I'm encouraging myself. I'm pushing myself through. And I just do it publicly in hopes of somebody else, catching the fire and it helping you along the way. I just believe that if we talk about our struggles, if we talk about our troubles, that we'll find other people who have either already gone through it and they can give you motivation, or somebody that you may not even have a clue could be going through something similar and need to hear something that you say so that they know that they can get to the other side. You're the answer to somebody's prayer. We all are. And if you don't see yourself as that important, you're missing it. You are the answer to somebody's prayer. You showing up as you, as your authentic self, you doing the work that you feel that is in you that you need to share. It's for a reason. You've gone through the things that you've gone through for a reason. Somebody else is going to be blessed by what you have to say. You're the answer to somebody's prayer. Let's see, that says the lady. Hello, the lady. Hi, Jay. Welcome. Fire caught. My brother said God starts within. Keep going. I believe that 100%. All right. So the T in intentional is for trust. Trust in yourself. Trust the process. Trust your higher power. For me, that is God. Allow yourself to take risks and grow and beyond what's comfortable. Within your comfort zone, there's no growth. There is no growth there. You have already grown to that point. If you intend to grow beyond where you are, you've got to step outside of your comfort zone. The life that you want, the things that you want to accomplish, they all are on the other side. Right outside that comfort zone is where that growth starts. So I want to encourage you to take that step. When you start to feel the resistance, I wrote about that late last week or earlier this week. Oh, it's Monday. When you start to feel that resistance, it's because you're coming into something new. You're coming into other opportunities. There's something that's about to break loose for you. and it feels strange, it feels uncomfortable. Peel back that discomfort for a minute. And if it's your intuition that's telling you danger, that it's not safe to go there, that's one thing. We do need to trust our intuition. But if self-limiting beliefs are coming up, if you're not believing that you're worthy, if you're not believing that you're capable, if those types of things are what's causing that discomfort, that's where the work lies. Begin to peel that back and understand where it's coming from and speak right to it. Speak of your worthiness. Speak of your abilities. Talk right back to your fear so that you can overcome it and move outside that comfort zone and begin to live the life that you so desire. It's there for you to do. You have the power to get it, but it's not going to feel good in the beginning. It feels quite scary. So trust yourself. And then the I is intention setting. You have to set clear and meaningful goals for yourself. You have to be intentional in your actions, you have to be intentional in your decisions, and you have to be intentional in your interactions. Who are you spending your time with? What's being poured into you? Is it going to help you deliver the life that you've been dreaming, or is it going to shut you down, make you heavy? Your interactions are important, and you have to be intentional in your thinking. We are not slaves to our thoughts. We are not slaves to our emotions and our feelings. Some of us live our whole lives under the control of our thoughts and our feelings and our emotions. That's a huge missed opportunity. Sometimes they're not even based in fact. They're based in fear. They're based in trauma. They're based in difficulties that you've had to push through. So you've got to get control of those thoughts and be willing to look a little crazy sometimes. Talk right back to yourself. When that thought comes up, that negative thought, that self-limiting belief, when it's that message starts to play in your head, talk right back to it. Hey, I know you're scared, but we've got this. We have done so many hard things. We have overcome so many things. So why would this be different? We've got the power to push through this too. Talk right back to your fear. Subdue it. Take control of it and keep going. The next I stands for what am I spelling? Intention. Oh, we just did the I. The O. Oh, this is a tough one. Open-mindedness. You have to be open to new perspectives, to new ideas, to new opportunities, because in that's where you foster growth and you expand your horizons and you open yourself up to new opportunities. Being around people who have different points of view than you, being around people who've had different life experiences than you, it's educational, it's enriching. It's so comfortable to be around people who look like us, think like us, have had our same experiences. Those that's comfortable. And again, your comfort is not where your growth is. So expand your horizons. Introduce yourself to that person that you don't usually talk to. Maybe they're from a different religious background. Maybe they speak a different language, and or they're from a different country. Getting to know people outside of your bubble, it enriches you so much. So remain open-minded and open to those new ideas and different ways of thinking, because it can foster your growth and help you to expand on what you're already building, because you only know what you know. So having someone who comes in with a different point of view, it will solidify what you know or it will expand it. Open-mindedness is key. And then in nourishing relationships, you want to cultivate deep, meaningful connections with other people and surround yourself with positive influences. Doretha says, comfort is not where the growth is. Yes, absolutely. So surrounding yourself with positive influences. And by positive influences, I do not mean yes people. I do not mean a cheerleader to the point that they're only going to tell you what's good. A true accountability partner, a true support system will tell you when you're off track, but how they do it matters. Are they building you up? Are they lifting you up? Are they trying to pour into you, or are they trying to tear you down? When you see the difference, know the difference, spend your time with the person that's building you up. Those are the people who will help you on your journey. The other ones will shackle you to your past and trip you up and cause you to have self-doubt, and you'll never get where you're going surrounding yourself with people like that. So, nourishing relationships is important. And then authenticity. You have to embrace your true self, express your unique voice, and live in alignment with who you really are, your values, and your beliefs. And that's why I think today started the way it did. I didn't want to have a conversation about being intentional and being positive and all those things with all that stuff playing in my head. It would have felt inauthentic. It would have felt like I was being hypocritical, and I can't stand that type of interaction. So I needed to shed some of that yuck before I was able to really get into the conversation with you guys. And I feel so much lighter, and I feel like so much is flowing through me beyond what I needed to say. And I think it's because I cleared all that junk out and I released it. And so you can do that too. It's the things that we are most fearful of other people knowing. Those are the things that hold us back. Those are the things that can really shut us down and keep us from moving forward. The worst thing you can do is move through life with somebody holding a threat over your head. If you don't do this or do that, I'm going to tell the world this. Tell them. Let it out. Do you, boo? Sing your song and sing it loud, because nothing that anybody else says will change who I am. And the people who are meant for me and the people who really know me will continue to move with me and will be uplifting through things like that. The people who jump on the bandwagon or get excited about bad news for people and want to hear all the gritty details, those are people I want to stay away from. I would much rather figure out how we can build somebody up than how we can tear them down. So we have to check ourselves throughout the day, throughout life. Yes, detox negativity. That's what Dr. Angela said. I love that. Detox that negativity. All right. So after authenticity, we're at our last letter, and that's a learning mindset. So for those of you who joined late, we have been breaking down the word intentional letter by letter, and talking about things that generate intentionality, things that you'll get out of having an intentional life. And we're down to the last letter, which is L, and that's a learning mindset. Continue to seek knowledge, continue to learn, challenge your assumptions, and embrace a mindset of growth and curiosity. A growth mindset is what I'm all about. When you have a growth mindset, you're not afraid to try something that you're not already good at. You know you may fail, and all that means it's the outcome. That, remember, that outcome not being attached to that just means the outcome wasn't what you expected. But as long as you've learned from it, has there really been failure? I tell myself all the time, I never fail. I either win or I learn. When things don't go the way we intended, the way we expected, there's so much learning to be had there. You take that lesson in, you adjust, and you get right back in the game. So don't be afraid of the word failure. Embrace it. If you're not failing, you're probably not trying hard enough. You're probably really in your comfort zone. Outside your comfort zone, where things are a little bit different than what you're accustomed to, you'll stumble. You may even fall. But in that, you learn so much. You become more resilient. You gain more skills, and that's where your growth is. So don't fear that. Keep a learning, open growth mindset. So let me run through all the letters real quick without expanding, but just on the word. So it's the word intentional, and the I is introspection. The N is nurturing. The T, time management. The E is empowerment. The N is non-attachment. The T is trust. The I is intention setting. The O, open-mindedness. The N, nourishing relationships. The A, authenticity. And the L is the learning mindset. So we want to live an intentional life where we are tapped into our desires and that we are making conscious decisions, decision after decision, choice after choice, from a place of self-awareness, and that we're taking deliberate actions towards creating and fulfilling a purposeful existence, the life that we most desire. So that is it for today, guys. I know it went on a little long because I had my soliloquy in the beginning. So I appreciate so much you hanging in there with me. I'll be back tomorrow, which is Thursday. So tomorrow is Thankful Thursday, and we'll have a similar conversation around gratitude. You can find me on all forms of social media under Manifesting Miracle Maker. And if any of the things that I've talked about happen to be things that you struggle with, I'm a life coach and my focus is on mindset. And as you can see, the focus stays on my own mindset and making sure that I'm incorporating the things that I talk about. You are welcome, Jerome. Thank you so much. So if you guys need my help, that's what I'm here for. If you feel like you have a hard time seeing your value, your purpose, your abilities, let's talk. I've got free online classes and different things that I can share with you, and we can start the journey of you getting to know you and having that intimate relationship that Dr. Angela mentioned with your mindset, because it's important. The voice within wins. What you think about you and how you feel about you will predict how your life is going to unfold more than any external circumstance ever will. Get your mindset together and the rest will align. Other things will be okay once you've got that mindset under control. So that's it for today. I'll be back tomorrow morning, 7:15 a.m. for Thankful Thursday, and we will talk about gratitude. You guys enjoy the rest of your Wednesday, and I will see you tomorrow. Thanks, everybody.